Sometimes the universe has a way of teaching people lessons they desperately need to learn, and sometimes you get to be the messenger. Let me take you back to last summer, when I was just a college junior trying to make ends meet. Running a small painting business between classes, hiring fellow students, scraping together every dollar I could to pay for school. My prices were fair, honest work for honest pay. Nothing fancy, just a young person with big dreams and paint-stained hands. That's when she entered my life. A potential client reached out about a month and a half ago, wanting estimates for an interior bathroom and deck staining job. Simple enough, right? But from our very first interaction, something felt off. She insisted on a time that would force me to rush from one job site, squeeze in a hurried estimate, then race home for a quick dinner before my next scheduled appointments. I was frustrated, but I told myself this was part of learning business. Sometimes you bend over backwards for clients, even when your instincts are screaming otherwise. So I showed up at her house, still wearing paint-stained clothes from the job I'd just left. The moment I arrived, she made it clear what she thought of me. Every word, every glance, pure condescension. I had the audacity to move her plants aside to properly measure her deck, and apparently, my work clothes were an insult to her very existence. "If I ran a business like you do," she said, her voice dripping with superiority, "I would be fired from my high-level marketing position immediately. You should dress better to respect your clients." I bit my tongue and focused on the numbers. Professional. Courteous. $800 with a 10% discount for booking that day, a fair price that barely left room for profit after materials and labor. "I need a few days to think about it," she said. "Fair enough." I extended the discount, gave her time to consider. When I returned a few days later, expecting a simple yes or no, she had other plans. She sat me down like I was a child about to be lectured. After working in the blazing sun all day, exhaustion weighing on my shoulders, all I wanted was food and rest. Instead, I got a master class in manipulation. She haggled. And haggled. And haggled some more. I gave her another 5% discount just to close the deal, bringing my already thin profit margin to almost nothing. But it wasn't enough. Nothing was ever enough. "The highest we can go is $600, she declared, as if she were doing me some grand favor. When I explained that going any lower would actually cost me money, she delivered what she thought was her winning blow. "I got an estimate from another local company for $500. I wouldn't want you to match it because I want to support the local community." Something didn't add up. I knew the costs: materials, labor, overhead. The math simply didn't work at that price point unless corners were being cut somewhere. When I asked about the paint they'd use, she couldn't remember. When I asked to see their estimate sheet, they didn't have one. Red flags weren't just waving, they were screaming. "And legitimate contractor works without documentation." But I was tired, my brain was barely functioning, and I needed the work. So I agreed to her terms, accepting a measly $5 per hour for my personal labor. "It's just $50, she said dismissively. "I can't see why you can't give us more discount. At my high-level marketing job, I would give customers discounts without hesitation." The irony was suffocating. Easy to be generous with someone else's money, much harder when it's coming from a broke college student's pocket. Then came the payment dance. She wanted to use credit, which carried a 5% fee that would obliterate what little profit remained. When I mentioned preferring a check, she launched into an elaborate story. Chase Bank, she claimed, had no branches near us. The nearest one was in New York. She'd have to order a checkbook, such an inconvenience. But then, as I was leaving, she mentioned needing the job finished by a certain date for guests. And in a moment of carelessness, she muttered something about finding her checkbook by tomorrow. Wait, didn't she just say she had to order one from New York? That night, curiosity got the better of me. One simple Google search. Chase branches near me. 14 minutes. There was a Chase branch 14 minutes from her house. The lie hit me like a physical blow. If she'd lie about something so easily verifiable, what else had been fabricated? I called a friend whose father owned the other painting company she'd mentioned. The answer came back swift and clear. No estimate had ever been given to her name or address. I'd been played completely and thoroughly manipulated by someone who saw my youth as weakness, my need for work as desperation to exploit. So I reached out to her through social media, calmly, professionally. I asked about the Chase branch, the checkbook story, the mysterious estimate that never existed. Her response revealed everything I needed to know about who she really was. The mask came off completely. Years of corporate power had created someone who believed she was untouchable, superior, entitled to treat others as beneath her consideration. She ranted about my inexperience, dismissed my financial struggles, and then, she crossed a line that changed everything. You people should be grateful that I even pay you $5 an hour for your work. You people. Because I'm Chinese. Because in her mind, I wasn't just young or inexperienced. I was other. Different. Less than. That's when something clicked. Throughout our entire interaction, she'd kept mentioning her high-level marketing position, throwing it around like a shield, a weapon, a crown that made her untouchable. I took screenshots. Every message, every slur, every moment of ugliness she'd revealed. And then I crafted an email, detailed, professional, factual. I sent it to every address I could find associated with her company. 2 days later, a response arrived. Thank you for reaching out. This type of behavior is unacceptable, and we will be conducting an internal investigation. I felt a spark of satisfaction, but honestly, I figured that would be the end of it. A slap on the wrist, maybe? A stern talking to. But today I was scrolling through old messages and happened across our conversation. Curiosity made me click on her profile, where it once proudly displayed her company name and title. Now it simply read, "Works at Self-Employed." Sometimes the universe has perfect timing. Sometimes standing up for yourself does more than just protect your dignity. It protects everyone who might come after you. She thought my youth made me powerless. She thought her position made her untouchable. She thought she could treat people as less than human without consequence. She was wrong on all counts. This wasn't about revenge, it was about accountability. It was about showing that actions have consequences, that how we treat others matters, that no position or title gives anyone the right to diminish another person's humanity. I learned something profound that summer. Sometimes the most important business lesson isn't about profit margins or customer service. It's about knowing your worth and refusing to let anyone convince you it's less than it is. And sometimes, just sometimes, doing the right thing feels better than any paycheck ever could. Like, subscribe, and share our channel.